Mammography is one of the best screening tools to find breast cancer.
Breast cancer may not be preventable, but you can survive it through early detection. If you're a mother or grandmother, sister or best friend, aunt or cousin,
we encourage you to know your risk, make healthy lifestyle choices, and to know what's normal for your body.
Get screened. Get your mammogram annually.
We did!
Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into MB12 Weekend, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight in news, the FNM suggests a power struggle within the governing party. This as the opposition calls for a resolution to the LOI scandal. A slew of armed robberies and shootings during a 24-hour period. The Christian Council talks crime, plus how that may increase the demand for gated communities. I'm Paige McCartney. We've got those stories and more straight ahead on MB12 Weekend. Welcome once again to MB12. Free National Movement Senator Carl Bethel is slamming the Christie administration for not resolving the unauthorized signing of a letter of intent by Bamboo Town MP and Ministry of Works Parliamentary Secretary Renwood Wells. He told MB12 the government seems incapable of fully and truthfully addressing the matter. Meantime, FNM Chairman Darren Cash says at the heart of the controversy is an apparent power struggle between the Prime Minister and his deputy. Simone Davis has the story.
FNM Chairman Darren Cash said in a statement, the real leader of the Progressive Liberal Party has emerged after Deputy Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis on Thursday declared that Renwood Wells should face consequences for signing the letter of intent with Stellar Waste to Energy. By publicly making that comment, Cash said Davis demonstrated the kind of leadership that the Prime Minister should have demonstrated a long time ago and draws a clear distinction between him and Prime Minister Perry Christie on this matter. Cash said the Prime Minister seems afraid to act, while Davis clearly understands the need for resolution regarding this matter. FNM Senator Carl Bethel also weighed in, saying, the government seems to be incapable of adequately addressing the controversial LOI Renwood Wells signed with Stellar Waste to Energy back in July. Bethel said this issue exposes the government to potential liability.
It's rather unfortunate that the government appears to be entirely incapable of addressing that LOI issue, which it is acknowledged by everybody in the government to have been a breach of the established cabinet protocols and procedures. That is acknowledged. Privately, it is also acknowledged by members of the governing party that the LOI, the letter of intent, is binding on the government, does expose the government to potential liability.
Bethel questioned why the Prime Minister has failed to give a reasonable and full explanation on the matter.
We have a letter signed that is entirely unauthorized, and that letter does impose the possibility of liability of between $40 and $650 million to the government. And the government, acknowledging that something unauthorized went on, is unable or unwilling to provide a reasoned, truthful, and full explanation.
He added that although it was a breach of the rule of conduct, it is still the responsibility of the Prime Minister to either inflict necessary penalty or explain why Wells should not be fired.
That is just unacceptable in a civilized democracy. It is an acknowledged breach of the cabinet manual of procedure, which binds parliamentary secretaries. I'm not ascribing any blame or making any negative aspersions on any particular person. I point to the circumstances, though, that there's an acknowledged breach of the rules of conduct.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Simone Davis.
From the crime beat, police are investigating 3 shooting incidents reported during a 24-hour period. The first shooting happened yesterday in Yellow Elder Gardens at around 2 p.m. Police say the victim was walking along Dennis Court when 2 men approached him and shot him in the hand. He's in stable condition in hospital. Then just before midnight, a man was shot in his leg and chest during a drive-by shooting. The incident happened as the victim walked along Toot Shop Corner off East Street. Police say the shooters were traveling in a dark-colored vehicle. And just an hour later, in the Baldwin Road area off Farrington Road, several men were gambling when a gunman opened fire on them. One of the victims was hit in the thigh and the other in the head. The victim, who was shot in the head, is in critical condition in hospital. The other victim is listed as stable. And police are also investigating several armed robberies, including an incident on Dolphin Drive. A woman was reportedly walking in that area at around 7 a.m. yesterday when a man held a shotgun to her head and snatched her purse, which contained cash and a cell phone, before escaping in a red Honda. Authorities believe the same gunman was behind another incident reported a few minutes later on Dolphin Drive. A woman was reportedly at work when a man in a red Honda and armed with a shotgun robbed her of her purse. Well, President of the Bahamas Christian Council, Reverend Ranford Patterson, says the high level of crime will only increase until Bahamians decide that they've had enough. He said it seems some people are not concerned with crime so long as it does not affect their loved ones.
We've always been concerned about crime. We've always worked hand in hand with the government and other agencies to help to eradicate crime in our country. But the problem I feel with crime is not enough of us have had enough. We continue to just sit back. As long as it doesn't affect us, doesn't touch our family, then it's not an issue. But all of us suffer because of crime. And I am convinced that until we all realize that crime affects all of us, then I believe you'll see a change in our country.
Patterson said the issue of crime will always exist as long as Bahamians remain comfortable.
We are comfortable, we go to bed at night. As long as it doesn't happen to us, we are okay. I think the time must come when all of us must realize if we don't do something about this crime problem, all of us are going to suffer as a result of it.
And one real estate agent has asserted that the January 2015 implementation of value-added tax will lead to an increase in crime and boost the sale of homes in gated communities. Chairman of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation Small and Medium Enterprise Committee, Matt Sweeting, said that has a lot of social implications, including a negative impact on the poor.
What that suggests is that our crime rate is going to have an effect. There's definitely a correlation between unemployment, poverty, and crime. And our thought process in real estate, or my thought process in real estate, is that gated community sales, we're standing in one right now. Gated community sales over the last, it's 2014, I would say maybe 12, 14 years now, has been, I believe, predominantly driven by crime. People like to be on the mainland. Nassau is obviously the most populated, but they also want to be safe. When they found that, even the relatively safe neighborhoods, and I almost hate to mention neighborhoods that were long known as safe neighborhoods like Stapleton and Blair, have almost become neighborhoods where it's no longer as safe as it was.
And with an already high unemployment rate and high crime rate, Sweeting believes that will only make things worse. As a result, he said more and more Bahamians will seek to live in the safest communities.
The thought process is that, with 16% unemployment in 2014, with those kind of factors affecting crime already, and a new tax regime that's going to make it more taxing on the less fortunate, I believe that real estate is going to see, gated community real estate will see a bit more of an incline in sales, and unfortunately properties outside of a gated community are going to become, I believe, less desirable.
And given the high upfront cost of purchasing a home, Sweeting predicts an initial decline in overall sales once that is implemented, with residents opting to continue renting in gated communities.
Ideally, there's no tax on residential rent, but if you were to jump into a new purchase, for example, after January 1st, when VAT is implemented, all of the commission and all of the legal fees will be taxed additionally. So you will not only pay your stamp tax, which there is some talk that there may be some changes in the stamp tax in 2015, but currently in the turn of January you would have to pay stamp tax, you'd have to pay VAT on the commission, which there's already been some concern about, and VAT on your legal fees. So yeah, you know, if it was difficult for you to purchase in 2014, it's definitely going to be that much more difficult, much more cash out of pocket, much more cash in hand to make a real estate purchase happen.
Sweeting, however, is advising potential homeowners or home buyers who may be on the fence about whether to purchase a home now or to do so before the tax is implemented next year. He pointed out that if a sale transaction starts before VAT is implemented, it won't be taxed.